Still starting. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's APAC community call. So in today's meeting, we'll first have APAC Symposium preview as it's less than 2 weeks from today on November 18th. And we will give us a quick and detailed preview of the agenda as well as the network session. Then we'll have a presentation on the data standardization in Japan from Professor Yugi. So with that, I will slide. So I'll have Mui to start us with the APAC Symposium preview.
Hey, so the symposium is only 2 weeks away, so a little over 2 weeks away. So please, if you haven't signed up, sign up for it. You can see here the agenda. We have quite a packed an agenda. In the morning, it will be in Microsoft Teams. And we have quite a few speakers who will be talking about the state of the community, as well as some of the stuff that's going on around the community and the visions from the different chapter leads. And in the afternoon, we have more of a free open network type of session in a website called GatherTown. It's a virtual networking environment where we're going to have working group breakout sessions and a collaboration showcase to show you guys some of the posters from some of the Asia Pacific folks, as well as study working group sessions that we'll talk about during the symposium and what we're going to work on next year. So for those for the working group sessions, if you can go to the next page, we actually have invited different guests from both Asia Pacific and the global community. Here you'll see in room 1, we have the medical imaging that Professor Chen will be leading that working group and that breakout session. In room 2, we have a fire and OMOP collaboration. So we have Christian Rice, who's actually leading the OMOP and fire collaboration globally. Will be there to answer any questions you guys may have from his presentation earlier. And then Adam Chi from who's the chief of Smart Health Leadership Center in Singapore. He will actually be coming in and talking to us about his reactions of the fire and OMOP collaboration. And then in room 3, we have Claire, who is the Associate Director at Janssen. She's also the working group lead for the CDM and vocabulary working group. She will come and present about version 5.4 and anything you guys may want to ask her, or the upcoming education series or office hours that she's offering to the entire community. And then lastly, we may have a surprise visit from Mark Shishard from University of California in LA, so UCLA. And he will come in during the study session to talk to us about how to properly run studies. What is a good study versus what is a bad, I shouldn't say a bad study. What does a complex study look like? What is a simple study look like? And how to properly phrase study questions when it comes to OMOP. So we may have a surprise visit from him. He's still tentative right now, but hopefully he'll be able to show up. So if, again, you haven't registered for the symposium, please register, and we look forward to seeing everybody there. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Mui. And also, just so that you know, for the registration, we'll be sending out the detailed agenda to each of you who registered, and same with the gather time information for the afternoon session, where you'll meet. You'll have this the working group updates from all of the guests here. So with that, I will turn to Professor Ayuki, who is a section head in Information Technology Management section at the National Cancer Hospital in Japan, and today he will be presenting the activities of the OMOP standardization work that has been going on recently in Japan. So with that, Professor, would you like to share your screen? Professor Ayuki, would you like to share your screen? You're muted, by the way. Hello.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes. So I just
Ah,
stopped sharing. If you
ah,
could, can you share your screen?
yeah, thank you very much. I show the screen.
All right. Thank you. Yes, we can see
Can you
the
see?
screen.
Thank
Yes.
you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Uh, Suddenly, someone called me after phone, so I'm sorry for the late reaction. So thank you very much for such a great opportunity. My name is Yoshiro Aoyagi. I work for the National Cancer Center Hospital East in Japan. Today I'm going to talk about the activity update for data standardization in Japan. I appreciate for Professor Hiramatsu and Professor Kimura, as you know, and everyone at Hospital East. They greatly helped me with my presentation. So here is the agenda for today's presentation. I'm going to talk about two things. Firstly, I introduce some activities in Japan, especially it's about the vocabulary registration project of OHDSI Japan team. So next, let me share about the development of an implementation procedure in National Cancer Center Hospital East. So this is a MHLW website. That's why it is written in Japanese. The ministry realized the importance of standardization medical information. They have published 20 standards so far. For example, codes for drugs and lab tests, and document structure such as medical information sheets, and the spec for linking between EMR and subsystems. But they are not widely used. I consider it is a problem. The two ministries collaborate to conduct some pilot projects. For example, SSMix, which is widely used for archive, medical information exchange, and as a primary data source for secondary usage. The MHLW is investigating the next generation standards, such as FIRE. Looking at other countries' standards, they are collaborating. And looking back in Japan, our ministry standards are closed. I feel a deep division there. Can we collaborate with other standards? In the USA, for example, CDMH had completed a pilot project of data interoperability. This left figure shows data model is integrated. At the same time, vocabulary is also integrated. Vocabulary integration takes labor, so it is welcoming. This is a list of vocabulary of Odyssey. No standard from Japan are mapped with the Odyssey standard concept. That is one reason Japanese researchers are difficult to join the involved international collaboration. We can map the standard directly, but if there is Japanese vocabulary on the list, we can map it easier. This is a website for distributing and browsing standardized vocabulary, Athena. You can download vocabulary for the mapping process easily. It helps you search for a phrase on the web. Before actually mapping the data, we need to map the Japanese standard vocabulary to the Odyssey standard. So we would like to start by registering the Japanese standard vocabulary to the Odyssey Athena registry. The institution will greatly benefit from this activity, as they can join academic or private studies and make publications. The organization that maintain vocabularies can benefit greatly from this approach. Vocabularies will help them to join international academic research, produce a lot of papers, and increase license agreements, and which will improve their presence.
I apologize, but I think your screen is no longer sharing. I think now we see. This looks like Catherine. Catherine, your screen is sharing.
Excuse me.
All right, there you go. Can you reshare your screen again, Professor?
Yeah, thank you.
Apologies. Thank you.
Can you see them?
Yeah, we can see your screen now.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm sorry. So next slide. Let me share the registration process to OHDSI. So firstly, somebody requests the addition of a vocabulary to the OHDSI. Secondly, the community, vocabulary working group, decide to register. And next, if the vocabulary needs to mapping to the standard, a plan is needed how and by whom such mapping will be created. If the vocabulary is closed, not open source, Athena has a mechanism of protection. I'll show you a protection example of Medora on the next slide. The vocabulary is tagged with license required, and anybody who clicks on this tag will email to the vocabulary administrator automatically. The administrator will contact the requester and ask for a license. OHDSI does not issue license. Only the vendor of the vocabulary can do that. And if the license can be produced, a requester can receive the right to select this vocabulary. And finally, a requester can download these files. This slide shows the example of standard codes from the MHW in Japan. The vocabulary team has interested in these codes, so I want to register them on OHDSI. But these codes are not fully utilized in Japan. Some say using these codes is unrealistic. Therefore, if it is medicine, for example, Japan team want to map the chemical component. We also want to perform the practical mapping. And we Japanese team think these codes are more important, although it is not listing in the standards of the MHLW. Next slide. In OMOP, Snowbed City occupied a particularly important position. And there is no consideration in Japan in which Snowbed is freely available. I heard OHDSI has an agreement with SnowMed that you can use it for free, but only if you use it for science, not for patient care. Also, it can be used if contracting with each hospital. We happy for use SnowMed City in OHDSI framework, but as a supplement, we don't contract with SnowMed. Otherwise, we cannot use it. In progress, we are discussing with a relevant person based on the clarified information. We hope that the Japanese terms will be registered in OHDSI as soon as possible. We are also take realistic action, mapping information about claims, mapping of chemical component names of medicine. These research are led by Professor Hiramatsu and Professor Kimura. So I have told you vocabulary registration activities in Japan. Next, I move on to the next topic, implementation of OMOP at Japan. We are doing a trial about converting data to OMOP. In order to conduct a trial, we first learn how to use and install the software published in OHDSI and make the procedure in Japanese. Focusing on the existing tools, I introduce information procedures and simple usage. The procedures are made available as open source on GitHub so that they can be widely used and feedback can be obtained. I also conduct clinical research to see if data from electronic medical records can be converted. Vocabulary conversion, ETL, and analysis tools are needed to convert and analyze the data to OMOP. We are learning them separately in three parts, A, B, and C. Software has already been published for this process, so we are deepening our understanding through how to use them. This is an overview of tools. We are learning about A and B and C separately in this way. Furthermore, we conduct data conversion research as shown on the next slides. As a result of learning about tools, we plan to have setup procedure manuals and data conversion procedure manuals, which will be published on GitHub. This is a last slide. I introduce you our study. This study is building of a research foundation to create real-world evidence. This shows our website. This is a study through an ethical review, and the ultimate goal is to be able to convert the data into OMOP format and analyze it with OMOP tools. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Professor. So do we have any questions from the audience?
I don't have a question, but I do have to say that thank you, Professor. It's wonderful to see the progress that we have in Japan on both the conversion and the mapping. It's exciting to know that we're going to hopefully be able to use these data, right, for research in the future. So one thing I wanted to ask is, I see that you guys did a lot of mapping, right? A lot of vocabulary mapping. Oh, was it really difficult since you guys don't know SNOMED and don't know RX norm that well? Was it really difficult for you guys to do that type of mapping?
So I can say easily, but so many difficulty I feel. So it is difficult to I say English, but I feel every time Japanese and other countries standards collaboration is so difficult. I feel I'm sorry in the answer in detail.
Oh, no, that's okay. But I also want to bring in light that I know there's a lot of stuff going on in Japan, right? Like what you mentioned is one of them. I know I also talked to Professor Haramatsu, and the Japan chapter is trying to do more education on OMOP right now as well by interviewing some of the OMOP leaders, OHDSI leaders, and getting folks to help disseminate that information in Japan. So it's a lot of great effort that's going on in Japan. So thank you very much. And thank you for presenting. It's very interesting what you guys have done.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else got any questions?
Thank you. So if, all right, thank you, Professor. So I think then again, if you have any further questions, I think obviously you could contact us or contact Professor Oyuki if you have any further questions or collaboration together. And thank you. And that will be all for today's community call. One last note, please register to APAC Symposium if you have not. Thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a nice one.
Bye.
Bye.